I cannot believe that. I genuinely cannot believe that that is how that ended. We've been at Phoenix for 6 years now for the championship. And of course, the one time we go to overtime, it's the one time that Denny Hamlin had a huge lead in this thing. There are heartbreaking losses in NASCAR. There are heartbreaking losses in sports. Last night was heartbreaking for Connor Zilisch, for example. Well, the heartbreaking is nothing compared to what just happened to Denny Hamlin. This is soul crushing. This is, I don't even know, man. Denny Hamlin wins 6 races this year, has a fantastic season. Obviously, everything that's going on with him. The external factors, the lawsuit, and all the other stuff, but mind-blowing. The whole Denny Hamlin has no championships, he chokes when it matters thing, and he showed up today. Leads 208 of 312. They have the best car all day. They go up there, they drive to the lead. They have one issue all day. They had a flat tire under caution. They're able to get it fixed. They drop to 11th or 12th, but they drive back through the field and put themselves in position, as I said, pull away to a big lead, handful of laps to go, and William Byron blows the tire. And that's the story of the day, too. The tires, man. We have this fluky format where it's a single race determines everything, and it's the winner takes all, where the winner didn't take it all. Ryan Blaney won the race, and he wasn't even a part of this. Second place, Brad Keselowski didn't even make the playoffs. It was third place, Kyle Larson, who won the championship, but this whole winner take all, one race, fluky BS format, and tires were the story of the day. And NASCAR's put a lot of pressure on Goodyear to make softer tires, to make tires that make the racing better, because the car has its deficiencies, and Goodyear's done a really good job at times. We look at the extreme side of things and we see what happens at Bristol, but that's still exciting and stuff. But we've seen some better Martinsville races, better New Hampshire races, because Goodyear's done a great job executing the tire. But I think I counted 13 guys, maybe more, maybe less. I could have miscounted. I think 13 guys had tire issues today. And I'm not talking bad pit stop. I'm not talking, they made contact, like it was just they're driving and all of a sudden the tire just starts coming apart. And it's like a single tire. It's not like all 4 of them are shredding, like they're just wearing. It's like, the right rear on Briscoe. And, I know the teams push the issue with the air pressures and stuff, but it's not like one manufacturer. It's not one team. It's not one car. And don't get me wrong, they're repeat offenders. As I said, it happened to Briscoe twice today, but Ty Dillon, Austin Dillon, Chase Briscoe, J.J. Yaley, William Byron, Austin Cindric. The list goes on. Noah Gragson. But it's just mind-blowing that that's ultimately what decided the championship. The tires coming apart in the closing laps. Denny Hamlin had this thing in the bag, and he is cursed, man. He is absolutely cursed. This is soul-crushing. 2010 was heartbreaking in itself. 2019, the piece of tape. 2020, 2021, they just didn't have the speed when it came down to the single race. But everything went right today until William Byron blew a tire with 2.5, 3 laps to go, and that's it. That could be potentially it. Denny Hamlin's been very open about, he doesn't have a lot of time left in the Cup Series. Theoretically, only 2 more seasons, and he's come close to winning a championship quite a few times. He already has a first ballot Hall of Fame resume, 60 wins, 3 Daytona 500s, Coke 600, a few Southern 500s. Only 2 things missing are the Brickyard 400 and a championship. Denny Hamlin had a championship drive today. He's had a championship caliber season, and that's not to discredit Larson. Like, Larson's had a really good season too. We talked about it coming into the weekend. Any 4, you could argue, are deserving, because all 4 have had fantastic seasons. But this really felt like Denny's year. This really felt like this was the year that he was going to get it done. They were winning at all different types of tracks. It seemed like he had been rejuvenated in a sense, even though he didn't want it with the new crew chief, Chris Gale. But they were pulling away. They had a 3-second lead. In those last 20 laps, it was like, what's going to go wrong this time? The tire issues have been a problem all day. Is he going to blow a tire out of the lead? Is something going to break on the car? They had clutch issues on the car. I mean, this felt like Justin Allgaier last year, honestly, where everything, like they got the speed, they're in position. It seems like they're raced, but things keep going wrong, out of their control. Things start falling apart, tire issues all around them. And it's like, oh my goodness, like this is going to go wrong somehow, some way. And it goes wrong in a way that they can't control. It goes wrong because the 24 blows a tire with 3 laps to go, restacks them up, and Chris Gale makes the call to take 4 tires. Ultimately, Gale defended himself. He said, looking at that decision, looking at that situation, no one knew what everyone else was going to do. And ultimately, the 11 was in the worst possible position there. They were leading the race. They were leading the championship. Whatever they do, someone behind them is going to do something different, and they're going to be behind. They've dominated this race. They've led the majority of the race. They've led the majority of the championship. But because there's a caution with 2 to go, 3 to go, whatever, they're now on the back foot because they have to play to everyone else. So do you take 2? Do you stay out? Do you take 2 tires and try to get the track position and potentially get run over by 4 tires? Or do you just take 4 tires, say, hey, we're going to be behind some people, but we're going to have better tires and we can go try to charge and take it away? They opted for 4 tires, and ultimately that last restart, he wasn't able to do what Heim was able to do. What happened was Larson just rocketed around the outside. He restarted 6th, I think. Hamlin restarted 9th. I mean, they were about side by side, not necessarily close to each other, but a few lanes apart, side by side, heading into 1 and 2. But Larson rips the top. Hamlin kind of got pinned down by Logano. I mean, Logano didn't do anything wrong. Logano's fighting for position. He's theoretically fighting for the win, and Hamlin couldn't come up the track with his momentum, and that was that. Hamlin never had a shot after that. That was wrapped up. That it was over. Yeah. I really don't know what else to say if you're Denny Hamlin. They did everything right. They did literally everything right today. You could argue the pit call wasn't right. I would say that they were screwed when that caution came out. It didn't matter what they did. They did everything right. They had the strategies right up until the end. They had the car right, even with the clutch issues, and everyone was falling apart around them. Every other championship 4 driver had a problem. Even when they had their problem, they were able to drive back up, take the lead. He is the fastest lap of the race. He leads 208 out of 319. Was on the pole. This is just soul crushing. I'm not even a Denny Hamlin fan, and this is like, I myself am like just blown away, like just defeated, and I'm not even a part of this thing. So this is probably going to take a long time to get over for Denny Hamlin. As I said, I truly believe this is just brutal for Denny Hamlin. The 2010 thing, that was self-inflicted, but factors. 2019, that's a team thing. That's not directly on him, but it still happened to him and his team. It's a team sport. You look at his other championship 4 appearances, they just weren't there. And today, it's the opposite. They were there. Denny drove his butt off. They executed all day. 24's tire had different ideas. So, but we've spent 5, 10, I don't know how long this has been. I've had to record a couple of segments here. We've talked about the loser of the championship for quite a bit here. Now let's actually move on to the champion. Kyle Larson, where did he come from? 6th place, whatever I said. Larson himself said it. They were average on best all day. And that's just, it's so ironic, man. NASCAR creates this format. The winner takes all, forced game 7 moment. You got to win to win the championship, and you got a guy getting out of his car after finishing 3rd saying, we were average at best today. Great job, NASCAR, this format. You guys nailed it. Anywho, no, for real though, Larson, he's really not wrong. They were really good today. Like, they were a top 5 car, but historically for championship standards in this format, like, that's not good enough. And if this race had gone green. It was not good enough. At one point, they went a lap down. They had a flat tire. They were one of many tire victims today, and they were pinned a lap down, and then they took the wave round, restarted 18th, made their way back up into the top 10, back into the top 5, but they were still behind their teammate William Byron. They were still a significant margin behind Denny Hamlin. Larson was really the third best championship 4 guy all day long. But caution comes out with 3 to go. You got to do something different. You can't just sit in, I think he was 5th place. You can't just sit in 5th place, do exactly what Denny does, and kind of hope and pray that you have a good restart, or hope and pray that Denny has a bad restart. You got to try to put yourself on offense. Try to put yourself like in the championship position. That's what Cliff Daniels did. He said, let's take 2 here. Let's start up a little bit further up. They end up restarting 6th. And as I said, Larson, rocket ship on that restart, just powers around the top, which is what he's known for. I mean, we shouldn't be shocked. And Kyle Larson was fighting for the race win there. I mean, there was one point, I can't remember when, I thought Brad was going to wreck him, but ultimately he doesn't. And Kyle Larson finishes 3rd, but wins his 2nd championship. He is an elusive company. He is the 3rd driver under this silly format to win multiple championships. I'm sure many are going to argue this makes up for last year. Last year, Larson, arguably the best driver, him and Bell. I mean, Larson had 6, 7 wins. Larson had the best team last year, it seemed like. But this year, it's been a really weird story for Kyle Larson. They do their normal thing at the beginning of the year. They win 3 races by early May, mid-May, whenever that Kansas race was. Then all of a sudden, Kyle Larson goes to Indianapolis, tries the Indy 500 again, and it just crumbles from there. Larson crashes in the Indy 500, shows up at Charlotte, leads 40 of the first 45 laps, and then spins out of the lead, crashes again in that race. They have a massive summer slump, barely lead any laps. I mean, they led 900-plus laps in that first stint of the season up until the Coke 600, or the race after the Coke 600. I believe that was Nashville. And they end up on the season, I think they end up like with 1,100 laps led, maybe. Yeah, 11:06, because he didn't lead any laps today. So the old statistics from earlier today in terms of the last lead, it's the same number because he didn't lead any laps today. So he leads 1,106 laps. As I said, that number was over 900 at the end of May. So they have this huge summer slump. They're trying to figure themselves out, but they're able to advance. They're able to find their way through the playoffs. And it seemed like they had a little bit of a spark at Vegas. They found the old 5 team. They led a ton of laps. That's honestly where the majority of those laps came from. Just being real with you guys. And they had some top 5 speed at times, but they were still a little bit inconsistent. But as I said, it wasn't as bad as that summer slump. And then they show up to Phoenix, and the day did not go their way. As I said, they had a tire go down. They were a lap down. They were the 3rd best out of the championship 4. But when it came to the late race restart, Kyle Larson executed. He took the championship. And that's ultimately how we're going to view this year. Kyle Larson is the 2025 NASCAR Cup Series champion, a 2-time champion. I think they said he joins Jeff Gordon and Jimmy Johnson as the only multi-time champions at Hendrick. Of course, Elliott's got a title. Terry Labonte's got a title. So they've had a lot of champions, but obviously Gordon, Johnson. So to be in that company for Kyle Larson, that is elite. That is extremely elite. So let's look at the race results. So first we talked about the guy who did not win the championship, and then we talked about the champion, and we haven't even talked about the race winner yet. Ryan Blaney, of course. Ryan Blaney, who statistically is impeccable at Phoenix, finally gets his first win at Phoenix, and no one's going to remember it. It was actually, if championship aside, playoffs suck, that being aside, whatever, that was a fantastic finish. We had guys on old tires, guys on 2 tires, like Ryan Blaney going up in there and just taking it away there. So good for Ryan Blaney. He wins, finally gets that first Phoenix win, as I said. Great way to end the season. Was that his 5th win on the year? 4th win on the year? I mean, solid year for Ryan Blaney. And as we all talked about, if Penske had made this championship 4, it would have been another Penske title. Well, yeah, that kind of confirms it. And he was the best non-champion guy all day. It was like Hamlin was the best, Blaney was the 2nd best, and then Byron, I guess. But Ryan Blaney wins. Good for him. Brad Keselowski 2nd. They tried to stay out there. They had a rough season, but hey, second place. Take it into 2026, I guess. I don't know. Kyle Larson is your champion. Started third, finished third best out of the championship four, but two lap shootout thingy and 2 tires. That's what it takes. So, no, but seriously though, congratulations to Kyle Larson. From May on, it just did not feel like a normal Kyle Larson year. It still feels like it's not like last year. Everyone was so disgusted because Logano was like 14th in points entering the playoffs, and it's like, does he really deserve it? Well, this is me personally. Like, it just still feels weird that we're looking at him as the champion, not because of his season, the full body of work, but just because of how it ended with Denny being so good and Larson just kind of having that one great restart. But no, for real though, like we talked about it before the weekend, like Larson's a deserving champion. They've been really, really good this year. They've been top 5 in the points all season long. They've led the second most laps all year, I believe. 3 wins on the season. I mean, statistically, they've still had a great season. But it just, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Joey Logano with the top 5. Good for it. Does that say? No way. Does that say Kyle Busch? Didn't Kyle Busch have a tire go down in like stage 1? Okay, sure. Why not? Good for him. That's got to be like his second top. I don't even know how many top 5s he's had this year, but it's like less than this many. Denny Hamlin, once again, just soul crushing. I can't believe he lost that. I cannot believe that ended like that. But if you told me the situation and you didn't give me the names, I would have guessed that Denny Hamlin would be the loser in that situation, and that's ultimately what happened. I cannot believe that is how he lost it. They did everything right today. He drove maybe the race of his life, but a caution with 3. I just cannot believe it. Josh Berry with the top 10. Top 10 for Michael McDowell, Ryan Preece, both of them with their first year with their new teams. Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Chastain, Justin Haley, his final race in the 7. Hey, top 15. Bowman, Jones, Stenhouse, Chase Briscoe. Wow. Oh, my goodness. Roller coaster. They started 12th because they didn't get a lot of practice because of the cut tires. They drove up into the top 10, top 7. Then they had a tire issue. Then they had to go to the back. And then they drove back up to the front into the top 6. And they had another tire issue. Then they were able to get into the top 5. I think they were up to second at one point. It says he led 3 laps. I don't remember those 3 laps. But hey, I'll take their word. So, I mean, Briscoe back and forth. Like, just, it was a very confusing day for him. Ultimately, I would say they were the weakest out of the 4 today. But they fought their butts off. You got to give them credit. Ultimately, they finished 18th in the race, 4th, regardless. Like, Briscoe, his first year at JGR, I think he led the league in top 5 still. I don't know what the final tally comes out to be. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. But he leads the league in top 5s, maybe. If not, he's tied. And Briscoe wins 3 races in his first season at JGR. I mean, it was a spectacular year. No complaints for me. No, I don't think there's going to be any complaints on that team. I know they were really, really close to a championship, but ultimately, they had a phenomenal season for their first year together. Daniel Suarez, his final race at Trackhouse. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about more of this on Monday. Austin Dillon, Ty Gibbs, Todd Gilliland, Riley Herbst. Hey, the rookies. Riley Herbst, Shane Van Gisbergen. Cannot believe Shane Van Gisbergen finished in the top 25. He had an average running position of like 31st today. The 88 was just abysmal today. Like, there's nothing significant. If it wasn't for that late race restart, I don't think they cracked the top 25 once today. They've had a lot of steps of improvement on the ovals these last few weeks. Today was terrible. Just a bad way to end the year. Hopefully that doesn't roll into next year for them. Cole Custer, Haas Factory team, their last season with Ford. Tyler Reddick goes winless this year. That's got to be one of the biggest shocks of the season. Noah Gragson, Carson Hocevar, Zane Smith, Cody Ware, John Hunter Nemechek, J.J. Yaley, William Byron. Heartbreak for Byron, not to the extent of Denny Hamlin, but William Byron leads 52 laps in this race, wins stage 1. Early on, the long run car, he seemed to have the car to beat on the long run, but as Hamlin adjusted, it seemed that Byron was chasing down Hamlin. Ultimately, it just did not seem like, after that first stage, as I said, it did not seem like it was Byron's day, but they were still within striking distance-ish. If a late race caution came out, like if that caution was the 5 car, then it could have been Byron's day potentially. But ultimately, they were just a little bit behind Hamlin, it felt like. And then, of course, the tire. That's why they finished 33rd instead of 3rd. But ultimately, Byron falls short. Cindric, Ty Dillon, Casey Mears, Bubba Wallace, and A.J. Allmendinger. I guess Casey Mears, that was a very... that was an out-of-nowhere surprise this year. A good surprise. It was good to see Casey Mears back at the track. 2025's over. Well, tomorrow we got the Monday after. Ask me how I feel then. But right now, it doesn't feel real. The way that ended, I just can't believe Hamlin lost that. It's mind-blowing. It's truly mind-blowing. But tomorrow we got the Monday after. We'll talk about more things that we didn't talk about today, and we'll break down all the lasts and things like that, and we'll talk more about the entire weekend. Championship weekend started out on a high. Corey Heim wins the championship. The most deserving driver by a mile finally gets his championship. Oh boy, if only I could have anticipated what would come next. Connor Zilisch loses his championship, which, he won 10 races, had 20 top 5s, was the most dominant driver, and he doesn't get the championship because of this format. And then today, tires going out like crazy. Denny Hamlin finally seems to have it in the bag and just ripped his heart out, started shredding it like a piece of paper, put it in a pot, light it over the fire, and then throw it off the cliff. Did that to Denny Hamlin. In case you did not know, I don't like the playoffs. And we're going to end on that note.